Last 40 years, we have seen a 50% drop in the marriage rate. Half of all of the marriages in the U.S. end in divorce, and the look of marriage in our modern world is definitely changing. That's the very reason psychological consultant John Curtis is taking a second look to see what it's all about and help us understand the bedrock of the family dynamic and what it will take to survive. It's good to see you. This is really interesting.
Well, I'm glad you see it that way. It's something that we need to put more of a focus on. You know, 90% of all Americans say that their ultimate goal in life is to be happily married. But unfortunately, we've had for decades now the highest divorce rate in the entire world, and nobody seems to be understanding why or what to do about it.
Well, what are some of the reasons that you are seeing for the increase in the divorce rate and the drop in people willing to get married in the first place?
This will get me in trouble, but it starts with women.
Uh-oh.
In the women's movement, in the 60s and the 70s in particular, women stayed home and they were dependent on that financial livelihood of the husband. When women moved into the workforce, now over 50% of the workforce are made up of women, they realize they have the financial freedom to make decisions on their own, perhaps file for divorce. And so they're the ones that many times are initiating these changes, which I think is a good thing, but many times it's attributable to that early on process of women moving into the workforce, and women now are the bulk of college students, which kind of bodes well for the future about women and their options, that they only used to have one, and that's to be married, and number two, to have children.
Well, what are some of the things that, let me ask you this, because what I'm hearing is, are you saying that marriage as we know it, the for better or worse, till death do us part, is broken somehow? Well,
absolutely. The highest divorce rate in the world, 50% of all marriages fail, about 65% of all second marriages fail. We've got this horse and buggy attitude about this modern thing called the American family, so it's time to change. One of the things we like to advocate, because several folks across the country talk about this kind of thing, is maybe even using a business model, concepts that men and women know daily in the world of work. A job description for a married couple. How basic. They fight over the chores all the time. Why not put it in writing? Everybody would have that at work. Why not have that at home? That's just one small example.
But doesn't that take the difference between a work setting and a home life out of the mix? And how does that, I mean, if you're looking at marriage as a job, I know it takes work to make a marriage work, but isn't it supposed to be something more than that?
Well, you know, there's this old definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again but expecting different results, and that's what many folks do in marriage. So the idea is, and all the research supports this, no matter what self-help book you read, is there's two things you need to have a successful marriage. Romantic attraction, of course, and you can't read a book to get that. That just happens. And emotional maturity. That's the part that's lacking so many times. So an argument ensues and it turns into a divorce versus we work it through. Where at work, many times the skills are taught. There's somebody there as a supervisor who kind of brings folks together and applies those kind of business concepts. So emotional maturity is the hard part, and that's what we really have to go to work on.